Okay, so Axis Empires moving into the second half, really, of my coverage of the May-June summer turn here in 1943. A lot of troops on the board. U.S. commitment levels increase here. Victory in Japan Day targeted for here. If it doesn't happen by here, there's penalties. Russian entry, another possible event that would be triggered if the Japanese can hold out that long. Likewise, it speeds up U.S. entry over here on the, there it is, on the European map. They've moved forward a couple of months. Now, so I was pretty proud of the U.S. having leapfrogged and grabbed a lot of islands, the Commonwealth moving into place. Guess what? It didn't work. Nobody would ever make this mistake a second time, but let me highlight it. Z-Plan gave me 4 counters because it's summertime. Normally it would give 6. Summertime's a bad time to do this. Little mistake on the Axis part. Well, bigger mistake on the Allied part. First of all, they can't use the same action more than 3 times. So I did 3 SNLF landings, but they did a Pearl Harbor type attack, knocked the surface fleet into the naval warfare delay box. We'll see how long that takes to recover, but that is the only current marker, other than some air forces, that the Allies can use to launch invasions. Okay, but what do we do with those SNLFs? I can place them anywhere on the map. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the rules again. I might be able to invade neutral countries and take them with this. I'm not positive that's not the case. But I can certainly go to Rabaul. Okay. Kind of looks like a bit of a jump, but all right. Midway? Hawaii? I didn't leave garrisons. Anything I can do about this? I don't really think so, because it's the fact that the Allies had these troops that they were able to push forward. And, you know, it's not like they're not going to be able to recover these things. And it's not like the Japanese are easily going to be able to take the things that the Allies took. But it is a definite setback, which is going to be kind of an annoyance I was not counting on. Those detachment counters left behind by the Allies, as far as I can tell, don't matter. I'll look again, make sure, and come back to you. Meanwhile, I've got the German card to take care of the mobilization limits, and yeah, I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, it's not quite as easy as all that. The Japanese had to supply the SNLF counters, but Rabaul is in supply through this convoy, the intrinsic one here. Likewise, we can get as far as here, and we're dropping a scratch and a convoy into place to get us to those other territories that I was grabbing. Just want to point out, though, that there were ways of preventing this, other than just garrisoning the shit out of things. So, for example, some kind of U.S. presence out here would have made it very difficult to get, say, as far as, well, actually it wouldn't, because I don't need this. This returns. This was a scratch convoy that goes into the delay box. I didn't notice I had that one out. But right now, I pulled what I had out into location. And this looks like about the best I can do. You know, as far as I can tell, I'm not sure. But I think I could do surprise attacks and grab these things without the mobilization the way the rules are written. I'm not going to allow that. I think that's bogus. There's no way that, you know, if I had declared war this turn, I couldn't do it. So it seems unreasonable that I could use the SNLF for that. But that's just a situation where maybe the rules need to be tightened, or maybe my brain needs to be tightened a little bit. One or the other. All right. So we've cleared up the SNLF mystery, and we're ready to rock. And I'll keep going. Okay, I was being high. No big shock. But Japanese landings at Midway and the Hawaiian Islands wouldn't be legal. They can't get the supply markers into the Central Pacific and the international date line. They have to have a port available to be able to push their supply markers there. So they are able to take Rabaul. No problem there that I can see. They have their port here. But beyond that, I'm not sure that there are good goals. Obviously, if I want to, and I've already marked this so they can't just push here. If I want, you can't kind of stack them. They go in procedural order here. If I wanted to say, grab these two, what would happen? I mean, politically, could I just grab them? It seems unreasonable, but certainly those would be where I would want to if I could. Down here, I don't have access, and this is the thing. I'm not going to have the kind of military capability if I push my convoys out in a way that I'm not able to. But if I were to push my convoys to, say, get myself into position to take, say, a key port here, I'm not going to have the ability to drop another convoy marker and grab, say, Samoa or New Zealand very easily, if at all. So I got to think kind of carefully here. I may have other uses that I want to make. I'll come back in a bit. So the end result of that juggling, Rabaul is going to remain. I should have the marker there. SNLF is going in here at Funafati. Puts them in position for Samoa. Rabaul puts them in. So the question with Rabaul was, well, that they went like this, where they could threaten both sides. Well, they don't really. Oh, no, that gives them the threat on Auckland, too. Worth it? I don't think it really is. They're not going to be able to make a landing in New Zealand. They're not going to be able to get the forces to take that garrison out. So their main goal would be, okay, can they get to Sydney? Well, they can't, but they can get to Townsville, and that might be an ugly situation. But Samoa definitely needs to be threatened. Putting it here might make it more exposed to the U.S. I don't know. This looks exposed too. I don't know. The big advantage here would be an ability to get to Johnson Island, for whatever that's worth. The one final point was used for a heroic naval effort to bring the troop convoy into play. That was the one that was in the delay box just this turn. Well, it got pulled back out. Okay, how about another shot at this, and we'll see what I can do. And finishing things off for this turn, the Japanese have moved their position and getting ready to attack Communist China. I'm not sure why they didn't do it earlier. It's really the only thing left. Basically, I wasn't aware. I am sure why. I wasn't aware, but Communist China is at acceptance. That can be gotten rid of, but these neutrality, without affecting the neutrality pacts that the Soviets have. I thought that attacking the Communist Chinese would cause a problem. It won't. Over here in Europe, Germans punched forward a little bit up near Leningrad. They've almost got it cut off. And moving into place along the southern border, but not getting a lot of traction. So, for example, here at, what is this, Minsk or something? Yeah, at Minsk, they're not able to push through. They've got it, you know, the bombers behind it and a lot of power, but without the Blitz marker, they can't push it out of the way. I don't know that they need to. They're making the big threat on you know, Moscow and Petrograd. Normally those would be enough. Well, I'm not sure they are in this game. I don't see any reason why they are. Over in Britain, they chose not to attack. They pushed forward down here in Greece, and by putting the area marker here, they not only prevent Greek reinforcements, well, I guess they could show up in Crete. That's not even a city. They prevent the Greek reinforcements, and they prevented a retreat, causing extra stop losses. Greece doesn't look like it's going to be long here. I had to be careful, though. I accidentally had stumbled this guy into Yugoslavia. He can't be there. That would destroy the Yugoslavian troops that I need for that attack. All right. On the Allied side, a lot of chatting, a little bit more than that. The Arcadia Conference brought armor and infantry to the Brits, and they shifted some of the forces out of Sweden that were helping protect there over back into Scotland along with an armored unit. And they're building up. It doesn't look like the Germans are going to be able to take London any easy way. The Brits can't counterattack yet, even though they have local air superiority. The Germans had an air advantage and could have pushed London, maybe won it this last turn, but they viewed the Russian front as more important. Now that mechanized army sitting in London is pretty hard for the Germans to take out with what they've got available. Over here in the east, though, oh, I forgot to pick a card. The Riviera conferences, more chatting. Well, that created some Indian units that I don't need and can't use, but it also created an infantry step, which was these New Zealanders. And because Rabaul was within 3 spaces, I was able to launch a quick invasion and grab it back. And took a lot of the threat off that the Japanese just recently imposed with their invasions to the south. Samoa's still at risk, though, and I used 2 of my convoys for that. I've got 1 more with which I can just push the U.S. into the Hawaiian Islands. I can't get them as far as Samoa to what I can see. Northeast Pacific. That's going to be this. So I could have done port to port. Hold on, let's see. Polynesian naval zone? Yeah. So here's what I can do. I can do port to port here and continue the port to port over here to Samoa. And that'll protect this. I don't think it's really at risk, but it's more so than Midway and Hawaii seem to be right now, because the Japanese do have a potential there. So that's important, I guess. And I don't know what else to do, so I'll go on to the Russians. I got to pick that card for the U.S., though, or for the Allies, though. I don't know what it's going to be. Let's look at what the Russians did. Over in Europe, general mobilization. They need to sucker out there. They wanted the extra troops. Had to start getting things moving. Unfortunately, it also provides a blitz. They couldn't figure out a use for it. They made an attack, but the blitz didn't really make a difference for it against the Turks here and pushed them back. But they didn't want to make a low odds attack down here as a secondary. Up here, they couldn't come together with an attack that was worth making. But they are kind of solidifying, and this card produces a bunch of steps in the reinforcement segment, and then in the conditional events, it's going to create a tank and 6 infantry every round. So the Russians can take losses. It's just making a really a really weak attack would just lose them points without them gaining any real advantage at all. If it was a chance shot to try to take something, it might be worth it. But as it stands, they're better off not making the attacks, but they are kind of running low on pieces. So they're hoping they take some losses, obviously not alone, that they cause some cost too, but that they take some losses against the Germans so that they can replenish them, because their next card, and most of their cards, are really huge. Look at that, 1 tank, 21 infantry steps. Ouch. If they don't take some heavy losses, they're going to be wasting most of that. They don't have all that much coming in for them. Over here in the east, hey, they demanded Tanutuva, and that gave them a couple of steps. And I don't know how much value it is, but they gained this little area here north of Mongolia. It gives them one of these markers. Sometimes those are useful. That's really all they're doing with it. This is tactically unimportant or strategically unimportant to them, but hey, you don't want to really look ahead if you're me and try to figure things out ever. All right, I'm going to load this one up, and we'll be moving deeper into the summer. All right.